Does Halo 1 need a remake? No, not really. However, that said, I still think that's a good idea. Yesterday, The Verge reported that supposedly Microsoft and 343 are working on a Halo 1 remaster to come out in 2026. This left a lot of people asking, why? Halo 1 already had a remake in Halo CE Anniversary back in 2011, so what's the point of remaking it yet again? Well, according to this leak, this remake of Halo 1 will be done in Unreal Engine and be a ground-up remake of the entire game. So if there's already a remake, why do I think it's a good idea now to remake Halo 1? First and foremost, the obvious, Halo CE Anniversary is, checks time, what the hell is time? 13 years old! Most games get remakes even before that, and let's not even talk about Skyrim getting them all the dang time. And even besides that, the Halo CE Anniversary remake is kind of garbage. It reuses assets from Halo Reach and Halo 3 and just plaster them on top of what are very basic character models and rigs, even going from 2001 to 2007. They do not work when newer assets are put on old rigs. It looks like garbage, not to mention the art style clashing between Reach and 3 and their new stuff. So a ground-up remake of all art assets using the same art style at the same time to modern sensibilities will really go a long way to making Halo 1 look like it should in the modern age. So graphically, it makes a whole lot of sense. Now, gameplay-wise is where it gets a little tricky. It's been rumored for a long time now that Halo and 343 are looking to start developing new Halo games on Unreal Engine, and this has sparked a lot of conversation about how much the game engine makes the game feel the way it does. To a lot of people, if you change the game engine, you change the entirety of how the game feels. Now, I'm no game dev, but I know there's a lot of stuff you can do to make a game feel the same even using different engines. Like I said, I'm not a developer, but from what I've seen developers talk about, the engine really isn't that big of a deal when it comes to that. That said, the biggest concern with a ground-up remaster is the game feeling the same. So that's definitely a big thing that would be up in the air for me, quality-wise, if they were remaking Halo 1 from the ground up in Unreal. Despite that hesitation, I think it still would be a very good idea for it to be done. To me, biggest reason for it is so 343 and their new management can really get an understanding of what makes Halo Halo. The biggest criticism of 343 with all their games since they took over is the fact that they don't understand what Halo is. Halo 4 added sprint, they added all this Call of Duty-esque stuff, Halo 5 added this advanced movement stuff, all these things that didn't add to what Halo was and kind of distracted from what made Halo 1, 2, and 3 what they were. The biggest mistake, in my opinion, that the old management of 343 made was feeling like they had to change everything to make Halo their own, without understanding what made Halo Halo in order to do that without making everyone that was a fan of the game before mad. And given what the new management has been doing with Halo Infinite so far, I think they understand that they need to get back to basics. This is something I praised with the Coalition in Gears of War 4. A lot of people didn't like Gears 4 because it's a bog standard Gears of War game. But to me, that was exactly what Gears 4 needed to be, so the Coalition could learn and understand what made Gears of War Gears. And I think they came out the better for it. So going back and remaking Halo 1, 2, and 3, which is also rumored, would go a long way for them to learn what Halo is about and hopefully shake this idea that they had to make Halo their own to make their own stamp on it. This by itself sells me on a remake completely. The second major benefit remaking Halo 1 in the Unreal Engine would bear is practice in Unreal. Unreal would be a new engine for the entire studio, so making a game that's basically already made for you, essentially as a blueprint, would go a long way to help them practice making Halo in Unreal and give them an idea of what Halo needs going forward. Now for the second major drop of the Verge article, it potentially coming to PlayStation. Now the worst of the worst fanboys are crying about this. It's like, oh, my Halo can't be on PlayStation. However, to me, I don't care. I've never owned a PlayStation. I don't really play PlayStation games, but I do not care in the slightest if it comes to PlayStation. It can only bring good things. More people playing the game is always a good thing. We want people to play the games we like. Even then, the article says it could come to PlayStation. He talked a lot about other games that are definitely being talked about to going to PlayStation, but they have no specific talks about Halo going over, just that it could possibly be a potential thing they do. So based on that, just complaining about it when we actually have no idea if that even happens is also incredibly silly. Now, it does bring into question a lot of what Microsoft plans on as far as strategy goes with the Xbox brand and gaming in general, but ultimately I don't think that's really anything any of us regular gamers, players, whatever you want to call them, should worry about. That's a Microsoft problem, and if it means they're killing off the Xbox brand or not going to be in hardware anymore, while that sucks for those of us who think Xbox is a really good, strong brand, ultimately it's not going to mean much. So Halo on PlayStation, do not care, bring it on, let's go. So now that we've talked about why I think it's a good idea, let's talk about what it could or should be. To start, I want to clarify my terms. The term used in the article for this new game is remake. To me, remake implies they go back and start everything from scratch. They redesign the gameplay, they redesign graphics, they redesign everything and touch every aspect of the game. A good example is Final Fantasy VII Remake. They went in, not only changed the graphics, but they went in, changed the entire gameplay style. They added story bits, they changed story up a little bit. So to me, that's what I would qualify as a remake. Now, remaster to me just means they go and give it a new coat of paint. Something like Halo CE Anniversary. All they did there was make another graphical engine that ran on top of the original game, used some updated assets that were taken from Halo 4 and Halo Reach, and called it a day, and made you be able to swap between them. It's a cool gimmick, but to me, that's what a remake is. So going forward, that's my distinction between a remake and a remaster. Remaster is mostly just graphical, remake is a complete ground up redo. Because people tend to conflate remake and remaster as being the same thing, for me it's hard to determine whether the article actually means remake or if it actually means remaster. Previously, when I was talking about them remaking Halo 1, it was in the context of them making a remaster. While I believe this is the safest route to go down, I find as a gamer, as a player of games, that this is the more boring option. To me, if they're going to do work making Halo 1, I feel like it'd be a missed opportunity not to add some things to it. This is a bit dangerous because of the lack of trust that 343 has with me and a bunch of other people. However, that is with the old management. With the new management, they've not done anything that indicates what their point of view is going forward with Halo. So even though this is still 343 Industries, because of the new leadership, I am basically starting my reputation slate with them from scratch, because this is a completely new studio built completely differently from the ground up. So to use old management's reputation for current management, I feel like is dishonest and is doing them a disservice. Giving them as much benefit of the doubt right now, I think, is the most charitable way to go about things. With that said, and assuming that if they do make changes that they are going to be calculated and measured, this is what I would like for them to do in a remake of Halo 1. The short answer is do what Dead Space 1 Remake did. Dead Space 1 was the perfect example of what a remake should be. You stick as close as you can to the original gameplay formula, because that's the most important part for a video game. Second, they upped the fidelity all the way. They upped the lighting, they upped models, all the stuff. Most importantly for me, they took the 15-20 years of sequels and books and used those to inform the changes they made to the story. So what does this mean for Halo? Let's get what I don't want out of the way first. First and foremost, it should not be a reboot of the franchise. Halo doesn't need it. All it needs is a little bit better stewardship and better integration with extended lore and all that. The second thing they shouldn't do is quote-unquote modernize Halo 1. This primarily means no sprinting, no Spartan abilities, no advanced movement, nothing that takes away from the fundamentals of what makes Halo Halo. No matter whether you're doing a remaster or a remake, the gameplay has to be as faithful as possible. If it's not, then it just ends up not being Halo and it may as well just be called something else. Graphically, I kind of already said you need a cohesive art style with modern sensibilities for models and textures, all these things that people kind of expect with current AAA titles. It doesn't even have to be that super high fidelity, as long as it has a cohesive art style and sticks to it and has good lighting. Halo 3 proved that good lighting is crucial. You can do whatever you want with it. You can be super high quality, you can be low quality, whatever it is that makes it easier for 343 to actually finish this project. For me, the biggest changes would come in additional levels and added lore that didn't exist when Halo 1 first came out. This can include cut levels, this include new levels. Basically, what I'm thinking is taking all this extra stuff that was in The Flood, the book, the novelization of Halo 1, and integrating a lot of that into the games. The books are canon, so the likes of Alpha Base are canon, so going there would be a cool tidbit. In Pillar of Autumn, you had that elite that chased the Master Chief through the entire game. Having Easter eggs and references to him, just a camo elite kind of following you that you kind of get glimpses of through the campaign. There's the Marine that was in the library before the Master Chief. You could have a little dialogue there, things like that. And then add in other references, other Easter eggs, other levels to kind of tie things together a little bit better in ways that the original game couldn't, and just didn't know to do at the time. Those are kind of my thoughts on a Halo CE remake and remaster. I do think it's a really good idea for 343 to make a remaster of Halo CE, especially if it's in the Unreal Engine. It gives them practice with Unreal for the next Halo title and also lets them get a better idea of what makes Halo tick. One last thing I'd also like to say is you've got to remember that the only things we have that are hard confirmed are Certain Affinity is working on a Halo project, and that 343 has teams that are working on future Halo projects. Those are the only two things that we know for certain. Everything else you've heard are rumors and speculation. It's fun to speculate, it's fun to come up with rumors, it's fun to talk about what could be, but don't get so caught up in your own crap that you forget what you actually know and what's actually real. So that's about all my thoughts on a Halo CE remake. Let me know what you think about a CE remake or what you'd prefer them to do, and I'll see you soon for another video.